To talk about him is to talk about every man who loved me wrong, loved me safe, loved me abundant, loved me without reciprocity. You see, he is a bridge and a long road of forks. To talk about us is to listen to every tall tale that your grandmother ever told you about romance, and then throw it out with the bathwater and watch it drown. To remember everything old and warm and filled with lust, and then forget all about the tragedy. To talk about us is to walk a tightrope without shoes, set it on fire while carrying dinner to the kitchen table, to have a lover kiss your burns rather than reach for the spoon. To talk about us, you must first understand that words have little part in what kept our mouths familiar, that pleasure and pain sit on the same bench, to not hold your breath for the ground to crumble us into 1,000 pieces, but to know that stars explode every day, yearning to be reborn and shake the world with their crash. To be witness to us meant watching a falling star, always knowing the drop was coming.
Funny how the world spins on its head. Honey, I'll be honest, I'm a wreck. I'll apologize, I'm sorry. Never been the type to take my own advice.
The first mistake I made was accepting flowers from him when he arrived late for our first date. This is a sign of a woman looking at potential instead of what is. I should have paid attention to the types of flowers he purchased. He knew them by name. He wanted to tell me their name. I thought it was cute. He bought me fire and ice roses. I hate roses.
Don't trust the magic in the bedroom, or lend your love out over lies.
The second mistake was not telling him that I hated roses. I accepted something I didn't even like and pretended to love it. This is a sign of a woman who will bend if the reward is pretty enough.
Ain't asking for help, got myself here and nobody else. It seems that I bit off more than I can chew.
I let him pick the restaurant. I let him order. The third mistake was when I let him walk in front of me. I was easy to hide, even in plain sight.
I had time to figure out the lies, guilty of compromise.
This is a sign of a woman who doesn't mind disappearing. I remember him staring at me with so much intent. He listened carefully to every word that fell from my mouth. I couldn't take my eyes off him. My fourth mistake was letting him know how much I valued being heard. This is a sign of a woman who has been silenced before. It could be done again. He only had to find the hollow spaces behind the cleverly plastered walls.
You're vile, I knew better all the while. Girl, a grin can lie with conviction. No, don't risk your own.
He held my face, cradled my spirit, and then he kissed me. It was electric. It melted me. It made me fall into his arms willingly.
Ain't asking for help, got myself here and nobody else. Doom da doom, doom da doom, doom da doom, da doom da doom, 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 doom da doom.
My fifth mistake was placing my ugly into someone else's hands before I could hold it on my own without dropping it. Because this is a sign of a woman who wants to be rescued. This is a sign of a woman who has just been carrying too much for too long. This is a sign of a woman who wants to share the burden. I let him in my home. I let him sit on my couch. I served him as a guest. I wanted to make him comfortable. We spoke about our families. We laughed at our similarities. We smirked at our crooked childhoods until we danced to the soundtrack of misfortune and seemed to be watching the same film. My sixth mistake was showing my love language before I knew how to speak his. No one should negotiate themselves without knowing the terms. This is a sign of a woman who will not read the fine print if the deal sounds appealing enough. But still, I let him taste me. My seventh mistake was showing him how hard I love in the midst of confrontation. But being strong-minded is only beneficial if your heart isn't a getaway driver who has misplaced the keys, and then you become a woman he can be less responsible with, a woman that he can smash into the ground and she will mosaic herself into a masterpiece. This is a woman who has strengthened herself to bear anything for the possibility of love, a woman who will give without asking in return. This is a woman who can survive off of nothing but an idea. This is a sign of a woman who can climb her way back from hell still on fire and breathing. This is a woman you can choke, can threaten, can push, can pull, can kiss, can fuck, all without breaking. My final mistake was not locking the door when he left. This is a sign of a woman who does not pay attention. He wanted to tell me the name of the roses, so I would know what to call him by. I hate roses, but pretended I loved them until I deemed them my favorite, and asked for them by name. When your father calls you after 11 years of silence, you will want to pluck every question stuck between your teeth. Ask why, ask how, and then he will say your name the way no other man has ever called you. You will want to forget he ever went missing. Forget the wrought iron fence he made of your chest. Forget the doll tone he left in place of goodbye. You will wait to hear the moon drop from the sky. I love you will sound like a lost prayer dancing a tangled crucifixion, trying to unfasten your body from unwanted. When you hear your father cry for the first time, you will think of every toxic man you ever took back. You will slow your breathing. Distract yourself from the number of men who had nothing to be scared of, because there was no father standing behind you.
You can take a bow.
You will prove to yourself that he is a stranger, that you are not the same people, that love still lives inside of you, and that forgiveness isn't genetic. You must choose to grow a new limb in spite of him becoming an axe, that your healing starts at the roots, and you don't need his permission to grow. When you tell him for the first time that he has a grandchild, you will mumble her age like 1,000 memos that he never came home to read. He will have the audacity to ask to speak to her. Say no. There is no amount of forgiveness that permits turning your own child into a martyr. When he tells you he lost the feeling in his legs, you will say amen to the inability for him to run anymore. When he tries to guess your age and fails, try not to count every minute he has missed like strikes of lightning. This storm is not allowed to come closer when you are still not dry from an 11-year-old downpour, 7-year-old guilt trip, and 14 years of abuse. His disappearing act was the best part of the show. Remember, you survived being severed in two. This time, you don't need an escape hatch. So when he asks if you're married or still carry his last name, you will want to give the curse back to him. Ask him if he ever dreamed of walking you down an aisle. Your mouth will bloom the lilies that rest on his coffin. And when you say I love you back, it will feel like treason and Sunday revival in a pit of snakes. Remember the parts of yourself that you built all on your own. Love was never something he had to give, so hand it to him like the only gift he has ever received. Because this is an act of bravery. This is how you offer yourself as baptism instead of sacrifice. This is the glory of being birthed in muddy waters and still floating to the top. Because you are a new beginning. You are the antebellum, the joy and the harvest, the waiting river and shifting river bank, the breath and the sunlight. You are the resurrection. So when he asks, why'd you cut him off? Tell him you were tired of living in the shade.
You said don't worry, my eyes are only for you. Don't worry, 'cause somehow I'm stuck in the blue. You said I I thought you were mine. You said don't worry, my eyes are only for you. Loving's overdue, I don't want to. There's something about my phases. Feelings overdue, it's the bus move. There's no way I can fake it. I face it, take it. Can it be like I got this feeling for you. What? But it be like I wanna know what to do. I'll decide, or we could compromise, baby. Intertwine when I want you, when I want you. Hypnotize, our bodies crystallize, baby. Just take your time when I want you. Now you wanna spend time with me, don't you make me say it. I ain't really got time to be playing. If you wanna do right by me, just keep getting naked. I ain't really got time to be playing. Loving's overdue when I want to. There's something about my phases. Feelings overrun, my time has come. There's no way I could fake it. Can it be like I got this feeling for you.
We ain't easy. And this heart ain't always convinced. This banshee likes to crawl into my knuckles, fill my jaws with curses, spit 4-gauge sawed-off shit talk until we become slamming doors. You know, that real-life part, that check-your-attitude part, that rolling eyes and silent treatment, the I'm fine and whatever part. We both got a mouth of knives, temper of Hades. We good until we ain't. We magic until we not. Still fuss and hold our face sideways, flip the whole ship over. We both know how to toss a bullet with a stare. Still, we double dog dare kiss in the midst of madness, in the break of bad day blues, in bitter woman skeletons kept in a shoebox, in stolen black boy joy looking in a mirror that can't look back, in daddy's got gone, and mama singing hymns through bar stools. We are a blindsided revival, the vipers inside of the pulpit, testing faith, worshiping venom. We made out of moonshine because nobody gave us nothing, but we still got something to give, so we stay and work and fight because we too old to keep running and too young to settle. Seen too many eyes looking through us wanting the throne, the potion and the brew with no talk of hexes or danger or rising tide. Don't know the kind of thick skin it takes to hold a bonfire close, the kind of soot and dirty it takes to pull a man away from his demons, the kind of bravery it takes to stay when your happiness looks more like a question mark than a period, when the predictable is a book without a title, a dog-eared seance that you can smell the pressed oak floating in the pages, the chopping of an axe, the slam of a hammer, always wanting the home, but never the splintered hands. We ain't easy, because this ain't supposed to be. There ain't no story where there ain't no grit, right? You know, that real life part. Submission is a word I only use for God. Kneeling is an act of love I pay to the women before me, the women who stand beside me, the women who will follow in my footsteps because my love is always enough.
Make everything efficient or shinier and polished, and so I never felt worthy of love because I felt like love was directly related to my accomplishments.
And I'm like, damn, I'm always pouring so much of myself just to get people to come out of the room.
I let my purpose become everyone else's purpose again.
Oh, here I am in a romantic situation being undervalued and silenced and invisible, that I relate to how did I get here to the point where like I can be all this in public but none of this in private, and like all of this is like acceptable.
So if this body is all I have left, I will own it until they pry the pink slip from out of my womb. Dare the world to step into this coliseum, echo the snarls, mangle the memories of men discarding my worth.
The first time that someone told me, no, I haven't found anything better, I just don't want you anymore. And I would rather be alone than be in this relationship. It broke me to the core. Like, I was a tornado for about 2 years, and it built in me this darkness of, I'm gonna only let them see what I want them to see, and I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna take. But I was always empty. I was always hungry.
My mouth full of insecurities, birthing fangs tooth by tooth. The first, fifth, and 100th, I'm sorry for not being everything that your mothers weren't. The stolen yes when no is heard as maybe. Let us not be pickpocketed at street corners by the entitled, mistaking resting smiles for let's fuck or take me down or beat it up and then try to say we're not at war. We are allowed to challenge those who claim they love us. To say, I listen to your needs. Are you going to acknowledge mine?
It's okay to want what I want, and that be it. Like, I don't need a reason to want what I want. Like, if I feel like I need it, that's enough.
I don't want to just like figure out how we can love each other. I want to be loved.
Right.
I want to be it.
Today, I learned how to hold a bow between my teeth. Because after all, God doesn't look for signs from us to save her, and she's never asked me to hide my mane, or my claws, or my roar. This is not a love story. This is a life story. A story of collision, a tall tale of my worth, a myth of myself, and how I can be born a hitchhiker and still build a car out of tumbleweeds instead of sticking out my thumb, hoping for someone else to pick me up. How us women can mold 1/3 into 3/4 just shy of whole and still feel full, to never be claimed or owned or titled, but somehow still belong. How love is not a myth for any of us, but a challenge that we rise to after we fall. This is a story of how I learned to love myself first when the world loved me second.
You said don't worry, my eyes are only for you. Don't worry, but somehow I'm stuck in the blue. You said I was your world, I thought you were mine. You said don't worry, my eyes are only for you. Loving's overdue, I don't want to. There's something about my phases. Feelings overdue, it's the best move. There's no